I'm Diana Ilgin, the festival director. It's very nice. This is a full hall. It's very strange, but it's full. Thank you very much for coming. And you will have a very interesting afternoon with Małgorzata Szumowska and Michał Englert. And now I ask Bernhard Karl onto the stage. He will guide us and moderate us through the afternoon. And yeah, here's Małgorzata Szumowska already. Yeah. Woo. And Michał Englert. And Bernhard Karl, our international programmer, who is also our moderator for this afternoon. Have a good time. Yes, I also need some water.
Okay, welcome. So, welcome Małgorzata, welcome Michał to Munich. I was dreaming for a long time to bring you and your films to Munich, but mainly your films were presented in Berlin. And we just present German premieres. So it was impossible over the years to bring your films to this place. So, as I saw your film in Venice, I was overwhelmed. Like with Body and Mask, and I love all your films, I know all your films, but especially this film, for me it was some kind of end of a journey. It's not the end, but for me it was some kind of fulfilling of everything I saw years before in your work. So I thought about bringing all your films here, but it was not possible this year. So we brought this film, and we have 3 films in cooperation with MUBI. Thank you very, very much to MUBI to make this cooperation possible. We are showing, MUBI is showing, not we, parallel to this festival, L, Mask and Body, exclusively for the public. So it's a kind of, not half, because you have 9 feature films, so we have 4 feature films, almost a half, to give an impression of your work. But your work is cinema, and that is also a very, very important point for me, that we know that cinema is in a sort of really threat, and your work, your body of work, and I mean it, the body of work is really only cinema. You cannot stream these films, you can stream them, but it is really for the big screen. It is from the philosophical, from the physics, from the lighting, from the sound. This is cinema, and that is the thing we all are longing for and what we need. Thank you. So I would like to start our conversation with the question, how did you do it, you two? So Truffaut said once said to Alfred Hitchcock, how did you do it? There was a famous book. And I want to find out, how did you do it? And I want to take the new film, Never Gonna Snow Again, German title, Der Masseur, which we are showing this night. Somebody of you saw already the film. If not, it will be also interesting. I want to take this film and to find out how you picked the themes also seen in other films of yours. So let's take this film, how you found together, or one of you, the subject, the issue for the new film. What was the starting point? And then how did you go on to cooperate on the screenplay, because you write the screenplay together. Michał is the cameraman. He is writing with Małgorzata the screenplays of most of their films. He is also working as a producer. So maybe we start at that point. What was the key initiation for this story?
Actually, it was Michał who started, so he has to start. The story came from the reality, from the real character, but it was Misha's idea behind. And it's very often like this in our cooperation, that it's Michał who is a starting point, very often. Like the first sentence, the first idea, and then we are working together. So maybe you can start.
Yes, indeed. I mean, it's funny that you said this movie is a bit a closing kind of the kind of a chapter in, let's say, in our, let's say, filmmakers' journey, if I can call it like this. We have the same feeling. Like, I mean, we still treat ourselves as filmmakers who are just starting. And because we learn with each movie, and we want to surprise ourselves with every new one, but we found the idea for this one, which came with the original character, while we were, I think, locking the mask, yeah, that's the twarz, yeah, that was previous one. So because we met the guy who is real masseurs, and we thought he's very inspiring, and this is very interesting to make somebody like him as a main character in the movie, because he's gonna be transmitting quite well between the society which we spotted in the movie, because each time you need to make a decision, because you cannot tell the story about everything, so you need to spot your attention, you need to focus on some kind of society. This time it was this kind of, let's say, middle upper class, let's call it like this, in this gated area, and the guy and his profession was just the starting point to tell the story about some kind of the general lack in our present lives, and but we had the feeling like through his sessions, his therapies, we can tell something much more about the current days, and this is how it started. It's always like this. Like this time I brought the first, let's say, thought, and then it's like a ping pong a bit. Yeah, that Malgo, she adds something, and we always exchanging, brainstorming ideas. So, but the first spark was the guy who might be the main character, and it's gonna be something between the meditation, confession, physical therapy, the real masseurs who comes from nowhere into the specific group of people.
Yes, and this ping pong is very important, I think, as Misha said, the ping pong, because very often we are not even sitting together in the one room. We are just, for instance, texting to each other, like in very short, like, I have this idea, dum, and it's even like without, it's not very precise even, but because we understand each other so well, and 20 years together on creative, process. So I'm catching very easy, even shortcuts, So this is also a kind of a big saving of time, I would say, while we are working, because we don't need any introductions, we don't need anything. It's always just straight to the point. And it's very often like, it won't work. And I'm not asking even why, because yes, he's right, it won't work, or I'm saying, no, it won't work. And he's like also doesn't asking me. So I think it's a very much about that we really understand that we have to go kind of straight to the point to achieve what we want on the screen. And with our experience, it's easier without word, without this typical communication, which, sometimes it makes you very tired. So we are kind of omitting this moment of work. And also very often we are trying to work also like on Never Gonna Snow Again, Masauer. We are trying to work with the people who are also like so well understand us, like Maja Ostaszewska, the actress, Andrzej Hiria, the actor, Łukasz Simla, the Polish actors. I worked with them before, and it's again, I don't have to. He doesn't have to explain too much. You know, they trust us. They know that we have a kind of vision we follow, and very often we improvise. I mean, we are always improvise in the frame. I mean, we know what we want to achieve. We know how the scene should look like and what the scene should be about, but then we are changing. Like the word here, the word, it doesn't work. Okay, let's try this, let's do this. And this is also, I think, very important. And we are reacting together in this very moment on the ground to what's happening on camera.
There is one key motive, or is the setting, the location of the film in this gated community. It's a sort of nouveau riche or upper middle class. It's a uniform community of nouveau riche houses, very aseptic, one the same. It's like, I don't know, from Jacques Tati.
A Truman Show.
Yeah, Truman Show. But it's a common topic in all your films. A community which is a sort of imprisoning their people, and they are longing to getting out of this community. You have the community of the family. You have the community of the church. And here you have many other communities, the community of the small village in Mosque, with their own laws. And here also, the people are imprisoning themselves in this nouveau riche place because they have fear, but they are longing for a better life. This is the motive in all your films, in my opinion. Please tell me if not, but that is what I see. How did you decide to take this spot, this setting, as the heart of your new film? How did you find it? Or did you meet this place before and you said, okay, we have to make a film there? How was it?
Let me remember. I mean, we started, we met at the film school, and we started our collabo, let's say, with the documentaries. And I think we learn, and even as a persons, we really like to observe life, and a lot of our inspirations are coming from the real life, real persons, the people we meet, something we see. So I think this kind of the gated communities, I mean, and essentially architecturally, this kind of buildings, this is something quite common in Warsaw, in Poland. And I think it's very symbolic how this country, which is quite hungry in the sense of, you know, capitalism, and now of course it's struggling with some other demons, as we know, which these tendencies are all around Europe. But I mean, this is quite symbolic how we change the empty fields and we build the same buildings as a sign of the better life. So, and some generations, even our generations, they have this kind of temptation because we were very much connected to the East because of the regime and all the communist time. With the same, we were so jealous about the West. We were always looking about the West, about the better life, and about the West Europe, and of course America, because this was a dreamland. So all of this, I mean, shortening, sorry. This was for us something very symbolic in terms of something which is maybe not pretty, which is, in our opinion, rather ugly, but it's kind of a picturesque and it tells the story. But coming back to your questions about this community, I have a feeling that each time we tell about, we focus on each group environment, we always focus on individuals. So we always we're trying to look, I mean, this is our probably intention, to pay attention to individuals and how do they treat each person, each character, within the environment which is surrounding. So coming back to the question about the architecture, yes, it really exists on the suburbs of Warsaw, which is crazy. Our production designer, she brought this idea, and we said, this is pretty amazing. There was also a funny story, because they didn't allow us to film there, and our great producer from Match Factory company, she came there with the production designer, with Malgo. They were pretending that she's gonna buy one of these houses, and it was
German,
funny because
she's German.
Because the seller was, you know, flirting around, showing the houses, convincing, yeah, like each one is that's the special one with the special view, but of course everything looks the same. But it was so funny because she was, you know, pretending she's gonna buy one of those, but I mean, of course, finally we had to confess that we just filmmakers who want to shoot the movie there, and they agreed. But yeah, but we found that this is for us. This is it. I mean, this is gonna be, because some of the people, they don't believe that something like this exists. You know.
The producer of our latest film, a Polish producer. Our new film, which is not ready yet, it's a new chapter, because it's a film with Naomi Watts, and it's an English-speaking film. The Polish producer, she lives there. She lives there. At this. So I was like, what? I can't believe it. She said, "Oh, sorry, I'm living there." Probably she feels a little bit strange that we are portraying this. Yeah, but from my perspective, it's also like in Poland, it's better if you can afford to raise your children not in a public school. I mean, till some point, because high schools are very good public one, but before the grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, grade 4, this primary school, yes, it's better to avoid public system. So, of course, people who can afford, they are keep the children at the kind of private or half-private schools. So our children, they've been at that kind of school, and half French, half Polish school. So I was observing the parents, or I didn't participate very much in their lives, because I'm not that kind of person. I'm not a mother who is like very active, you know, with the group of another mothers. But anyway, I was observing. So many of my observations are also on the film, I would say, because these people are exactly, they want to keep themselves together. You know, we have money, we want to be separated, we want to be gated. Our kids are in a good private school. We don't want them to meet another children. So that's something I've noticed, and it was a little bit terrifying from my perspective. So probably in Germany it's same, I think. So the people, they are paranoid that in Poland, people who have money, they don't want to have anything to do with the people who don't, you know, like, sorry, we've been working very hard all 90s for that, 200, thank you very much, we are wealthy, that's it, you know. And this is like, I spoke with one father, and he was like, where are you living? And I said, I'm living in the normal part of the city, in the quarter where people are mixed. I'm not living in a gated community. And she was like, you are not afraid that your child on the street can buy drugs? It's a nonsense, because I mean, you can buy drugs everywhere. And now there are reports that actually you can buy more drugs in these gated communities than on the street.
Because they need it more.
Yeah, because they need it, yeah. They cannot survive without drugs, probably. I'm joking.
Yeah. And how did you get the permission, finally? Because the people living there, they could have known that you don't tell a story which is very comfortable for them.
As I remember, we were visiting some of the houses. Some were not ready yet. So we used one not ready, and I think two owners they let us in because they liked Malgo's movies.
Yeah, it was one woman.
And
She was
so
fan of my movies.
yeah. I mean, of course, after shooting, she said if she knew how it looks with this group of people around, she would never.
And the
agree.
stinky dogs, these English bulldogs, they've been super stinky, and the owner of them kept them in the cages in the apartment, and it was like, oh my God, the smell was incredible. So this poor owner, very sophisticated with amazing furniture, she was like, oh my God, she was suffering.
By the way, do you love dogs? I do, because I saw in all your films the dogs. And
Yes, I love the dogs. One of these dogs,
the greedy tongue and
my
body
dog.
of the dog, and
Unfortunately, one of these mutants is my dog, because it's hard to call them different. But I like these dogs.
yeah, I will never forget the image in the swimming pool. With the not important now. In the empty swimming pool, the 5 dogs lost. This is a kind of iconographic, very typical for your work, because you create very many iconographic images, but we speak about that later. Maybe about the protagonist. The protagonist is some kind also of, is he some kind of a god for the people, or is he the devil? It's in between. He's coming from the woods in the beginning, and very important in all your films is the beginning of the film. Sometimes you have a sort of prologue, like in Body, with the hanging guy, a little bit out of the story. And here you begin, the woods, dark, but the woods are in the sky. So it is something, is it hell or is it the sky? And he is coming down from the woods to go in this very, very lighty elevator, typical for you, light and dark. So I never saw films continuously from a cameraman who is working in such an intense way about light and dark. And yeah, so maybe we can speak first about the protagonist.
I think it's super connected with light and dark, I would say, because I mean, he has light and dark inside. I mean, we are always trying not to do something which is only black or only white, but the gray, something which is in between, like everything in life. So, pretentiously we can say yin and yang, etc., whatever, but it's a mixture. So maybe also that's why our films, they are not so this way, or it's hard to classify them, I think.
Always recognizable, sorry to say it. So for me, it is one body of work which I really...
Yeah, for you, but in general,
That's right.
it's for some people, it's confusing.
Absolutely.
So we think that for some people it's confusing, because we are very much mixture of everything as human beings. I cannot say about myself that I'm that kind of or that kind of person. I'm a bit of this, I'm a bit of that. Same Michał, and same the world around us. Even in the most crazy situations, like very big drama and very hardcore moments, we see, for instance, a humor, both of us. So, I mean, that's the mixture which is constantly in our films. So we never wanted to do the films which are very easy to digest, very easy to understand for everyone. We've been trying to connect with the audience who speaks, feels, and have the similar sensitivity like we have. So I think it's a kind of unconscious, even or sometimes decisions about not to say anything too straight, too direct, because in our opinion, life, art, emotions are never very this or that, It's always a mixture of something, I would say.
Yeah, and that's why we were desperately looking for the actor who can handle all of this, let's say, colors and shadows. and it's another funny story, because we were doing some casting because we wanted to have the guy who speaks Russian, and we couldn't find, and luckily the son of Malgo came up with the idea of the guy from the Stranger Things, and he said to Malgo, "Mom, you need to watch this one because there's one guy you're gonna love." And she said, "You stupid," but she did. And maybe she can tell the story, but it was really funny for me observing how crazy Malgo is convincing the Alec Udgov, the guy who used to work for the US big productions like Mission Impossible or something, because we sent through some agents some mail with some proposal, and he rejected. And then she saw this mail. She said, "Oh my God, no, I'm not gonna leave it like this. I'm gonna write to this guy right now. I need his phone number." And she called him. I think you were almost screaming on him, like he cannot lose this kind of a chance, you know, to be to have a lead part in this movie. It's gonna be a great one. And I think knowing him right today, I can imagine he was a bit terrified, because her voice reminded him that the voice of his mother. I don't know about this relation so much, but I mean, like, immediately after, let's say, a few conversations, we were flying to London to meet him in person, and he said, "Yes, okay, I'm gonna do this." But yeah, it's a funny story.
Yeah, but he was very difficult, and working with him was very difficult because he's from the exactly different dimension, different world, and his approach is super different. So he was a little bit lost because we couldn't explain to him what he's exactly doing. He's not on a bad guy on Mission Impossible or good guy on Mission Impossible. He's like a Volant from Bulhakov, Master and Margarita. He's like something in between. So for him it was okay, but how I can act something in between? So I was trying, let's avoid the words. Let's just stay and look into one direction. I knew that he has very intense face. And from my perspective, longer I'm working with the actors, I'm very easy and fast can judge an actor abilities. So I knew that he can be a perfect genia without almost doing anything, you know. But sometimes it's hard to explain to the actor that he can stop to do anything and it's gonna work anyway. So even with the best actors, it's hard. They don't understand this. That the power is in their eyes and the face, and actually they done
everything
this
in motion and
yeah, but I don't. But they don't have to. They are usually overacting.
yeah, but this decision to pick up the right person.
Sometimes it's better not to tell them what is good, because then it's lost. It's like with this
and knowing that the way Małgo just explained before, knowing the way of our work, because I mean, of course, we have the kind of a solid base, which is a script, and we always want to shoot the movie in some blocks, some periods, that we have a moment, for example, of 3 weeks of break, that we can watch the footage, we can think it over, and then we come up with some new ideas. But anyhow, we do adjustments and we react on the set. And for Alec, this was something completely new. So sometimes he felt very lost. But I think that was the proof of the kind of a trust he gave to Małgo and to me and to the rest of the people, that he followed at some point, and he was totally open and very flexible to do some things which were maybe not planned and we had to change on the ground.
Honestly, I thought he is a Russian dancer, because I started at the theater. So as I saw him, because his face has not so much expression, as you said, I would have mentioned it. I wouldn't have mentioned it. I wouldn't have dared to mention it if you wouldn't have said it yourself. So for me, he's plain in his face and his body. So it was for me the perfect protagonist for you now. As I said, it's a sort of the last film I saw of yours. because the dance and the body is one key issue of your work. And now you make a dancer to be your protagonist. That's what I thought. Yeah.
But he learns to have this ballet part.
I thought so. And he's dancing in the film. He's dancing in the film, and he is, of course, expressing himself by the body.
In each of our film, people are dancing because we really love to dance, both of us. And I always wanted to be a dancer, a professional dancer, but it wasn't possible because it wasn't possible. So I'm a film
you
director.
also wanted to be opera singer.
Yeah, I wanted also be but you know, actually I'm dancing better than singing. So
let's try.
It sounds like a mythomaniac or something, but okay. Anyway, but I was so jealous because Winterberg in another round, last scene is a dancing scene. So on another round, the Winterberg film. So I was like kind of jealous that why he has also such an amazing dancing scene. And Mads Mikkelsen, he's a professional dancer. I discovered after the...
So next movie with Mads Mikkelsen, if
yes,
I can
definitely.
Okay.
Yes. I want.
Anyway, I love your dancing scenes, like in Body with the reborn mother and in the name of the drunken priest with the image of the Pope. It's unforgettable. So dancing is not just that you like it. It is really a very almost dreamlike. It's a transition in another world for the people with their body in your films, in my opinion.
It's freedom. It's freedom. When you dance, you're free. Yeah, you free your body. I mean, like.
Yeah. So now maybe a key question as well, and it's maybe too abstract, but the body, not only because your film, and one of your best films, in my opinion, is Body. Can you tell in a few words what is body for you? How important is body for you? Because your films are so physical, and it's. Let me say it in other words. In the new film here, Never Gonna Snow Again, you have a scene which reminds extremely to Tarkovsky's Zerkalo, with the mother and the milk. So this is and a quotation of Tarkovsky. But your work is completely the opposite of Tarkovsky, in my opinion. Tarkovsky is absolutely anti-physical, and your work is completely physical. Maybe you're without words concerning this topic, but body and this physical point. This is how can you tell us a little bit about this? How you came,
I don't know.
how you developed this?
Maybe I'm very much connected with my own body and with my physical part, and Misha too, I think. So we are a person who are connected with our bodies. I know very many people who are not, who has this disconnection. So they are separate, the soul, the spirit, the mind from the body. So I'm the person who, I cannot feel well, not to feel well as a whole piece, you know? Like I have to feel well physically, and then I'm healthy in my mind. So I have this very strong connection. And also body is to me a machine which is carry me to bigger and bigger experience, film experience. If I'm not physically, well, I cannot do films which are a longing of my soul. So I have this feeling that it's very physical. For me, always it was a physical job to be a director. I don't know why. I have this feeling that also I have to be very strong physically. For example, the last film we done with Naomi, we've been like in the mountains, Alps, Slovenia, -15, or let's say -10, and 16 hours all day standing there, and night. And then it really requires a kind of physical abilities to do that. But also because maybe my dynamic is very physical. When I'm angry, I can hit something. I'm reacting very much physically. So probably I'm talking about this in my films. And also when I think about body, in an aspect that body is dying and then it's rotting and then it's like, everything is like, to me it's connected. I cannot separate mind, soul from the body. To me it's kind of hard to separate this. Especially now when I see, but I know the people like Guillermo del Toro who functioning super well, the director, and he's not very much, he doesn't care about his body, but he's functioning super well. But I'm not that kind of person. So, but it's hard to explain somehow. And Tarkovsky, I'm not sure if you're right, because I was fascinated by Tarkovsky all my life. I read his autobiography. I read books about him. He was very much connected with his physicality.
He's metaphysical. I love him here,
but he was connected with physicality. So I disagree with you. He, as a person, was very much connected with his physicality. Yes,
but I think he was
crazy about women physicality.
But he was carried kind of a tension, I think, in his body. When I watch some, I'm not talking about his movies, which are, for me, more, let's say, going into the language of poetry and very radically, and which I love. Of course, this kind of cinema these days, I think would be really hard, but I still believe it can communicate. But as you said, I think it's a part of your nature. I mean, like of your personality, like you're feeling good with your body. I mean, with yourself in the sense of communication, because this is a part of communication. Because very often people are blocked with so many doubts. I mean, the movie Never Gonna Snow Again tells a bit about this aspect as well, how we are struggling with ourselves, and the body is probably the most physical and probably the first steps of freeing your mind, you know, starting with accepting yourself as you are. So I think that you don't have to be extremely skillful person to accept yourself and feeling good with yourself, but I mean, for probably for us, because we are quite dynamic duo, and especially at work, as Małgo is saying, and this is just a very, and we follow our intuitions, and we use this kind of, as I mentioned before, we come from documentary. So if I could, let's say, call probably the method of our work at some point, it's using the momentum. We know that we can prepare so many things for weeks, but it needs to happen at the exact moment when we're filming, and it's gonna stay forever. So you need to use these moments against all of this, you know, things which are happening around. So I think this builds a kind of the presence, focus, and a good term of tension, that you're ready to jump, to react or something. And it's very physical, because she's quite often next to me. I love to be behind the camera, so it's very physical. I mean, and this is how we create also the contact with the cast.
Yes, I'm never sitting. I mean, like many directors, they are sitting. No, I'm sitting sometimes, but I cannot sit too long in front of the monitor. I'm like moving all the time, and I want to see what's going on monitor, because this is like isolating me but from the reality, so I can imagine how it's gonna work on the screen. So I like this moment, but it's only moment. Okay, this, and so okay, let's improve this, let's do this, let's do that. So more, but I think it's also this physical aspect is also drawing us into the that for us is always beginning. Like today, the journalist asked me and Misha about homage. So homage, it sounds very strange to me because I feel like I'm at the beginning, still at the beginning of my artistic adventure. This is so crazy, and he has the same. We are still thinking that that's the first movie. This is incredible. So I cannot kind of digest the fact that I've done 10 films and homage, and so because I still think no, it doesn't matter. I want to do the next one. I want to do this one, which is gonna be the best one. So I have this feeling that always the best is still in front of me. And my father, who unfortunately died 16 years ago, he was an amazing guy, and he told me that being young, also physically, even mentally, it's to be curious all the time. And if you are curious, you never get older. You always keep the child inside of you. So I think we have it. Like for us, we are always kind of mentally 25, super curious. What is behind the corner? You know, and I think this is amazing. But I have this feeling that Never Gonna Snow again. It's our probably best film, and it's like super complete, and it's closing a kind of period in our creative path. I think so. So now something new is in front of us. So maybe that's why also we are thinking it's a beginning, because yes, it's a beginning of something new. And I mean, it's always like this. This is. I'm super excited by the fact that it's like this.
Maybe I thought also it is some kind of end of a first period, because the main title, personally for me, over Never Gonna Snow Again, is Salvation. Yes. And I could give every of your film a main issue, a main title, which is for me perfectly fitting to the film. So you have Stranger, motherhood. You have 33 scenes, death. You have L, sexuality. You have In the Name of, desire. You have body. This is rebirth for me. So for me it was like a decalogue. I don't want to compare with Kieslowski, but it is like the 10 laws, and this is now is coming salvation for all this you gathered over the years. So that was my personal.
So maybe you're right. Yes.
And Mask is the true face, for example, the film Mask for me, the true face, and the other lamp is faith.
We're just doing
what's
our
coming
things.
now?
Nice. I'm very happy.
Is there any question? I have enough, but yes, please. We have a mic here somewhere. Yeah, please there. Thank you very much.
Without mask, yeah, because I
One,
don't understand.
2, 3. Okay. Hello once again. Penelope Cruz said once, it is another to play in her language, like Spain, of course. For Pedro Almodovar, perfect.
Louder.
And this is also different way to play in English for her. But she's in each language very good. She's excellent. She's extraordinary. And you said here much about body, dogs also, and the spirit. How is it for you? You work together on the script, and are you thinking about people who are going to play some role in another language, like Juliette Binoche or this guy from a new film? He's from Ukraine. Yes?
Yes, but
okay. Based in London. Okay. How is it to write some script for the people? Are you thinking about actors who are going to play in your film, in your movie, and in another language? Are you thinking about...
That's the case with Naomi Watts now, for example. But
no, but with Naomi Watts we didn't. It was an original script. I mean, not our script. No, I don't think a lot about this. Do you think about this?
I mean, when we because Juliette and Naomi, that's the cases of the scripts were given to us, and so that was a different case. But personally, if I remember, if you sit and write the scenes, it's very good to imagine the cast who's going to perform. So that was the case for Shu for Body, and for Never Gonna Snow Again, this part of the Polish cast. And I think it's helpful because sometimes it's dangerous. I mean, dangerous. I mean, it's difficult to find the rhythm of the language of each character, because as let's say writers, you have your own, and you don't want to spread it all around the characters so they talk the same grammar. So I think that's the difficult part. I mean, that you need to do some changes, some different colors, some different dynamics, and it's very helpful if you have something on your mind while working. So we were lucky, but honestly, each time we work with the Polish cast, we do this kind of blockings, some kind of reading rehearsals. So we read together the script, and again we follow our intuition and we listen how the dialogue sounds. If it's fake, we trim, we changing. So because it needs to be like a music in a way, like it needs to have a rhythm. And
okay, thank you very much. Dziękuję bardzo.
Yes, please.
Hello, it's actually a very simple question, but I always wanted to ask you this. If you could say just one thing you like the most about your own films, like you are proud of, or you're like, yeah, I always manage to whatever, what would it be?
I'm personally, and Michał has to say for himself, I'm proud of the way I'm working with the actors.
That's what I also heard from the actors. I watch a lot of interviews and they say the communication is very easy with you. I don't know, maybe because of your body way, or you can express
exactly.
this.
I'm very often showing them what they... Juliet, she was always crying because I was trying to perform, and she was like, oh my God, if she would, because I'm overacting, I'm like, but then they know exactly what to do. And then I'm just saying a little bit more, less, down, on the right. And actually the actors, they love it the most because they know, they feel safe with me because they know that I know what I'm doing. That's the trick. They feel super safe and they trust me because I'm not complicate the things. And I think Misha, he's, because light, of course, his light is fantastic, but and very unique. But I think his mise en scène, the way he works with the camera, it's also like actors feels that he's operating the camera by himself personally, which is also very rare. So he's dancing with this camera very often, very close to them, and they feel, again, this guy exactly knows how to tell this story. So I think these two elements makes us very believable, even for the big stars. And that's the answer, I think. What, no?
For me, I think it's harder to answer, because for me the whole process, it's a long process. So if I look at the movies, our movies, of course, film set is probably something which is my lovely territory, that the things are happening. But I look in general on the whole piece, and I know it starts with the script and all of the process of finding the money, blah blah, filmmaking, editing, sound mixing, and doing the rest of the work. So if I, in general, look at the whole process, Malgo knows, I'm always this kind of having this kind of sense. I would change this, I would change this, oh, this we could do better, this, blah, blah, blah.
He's never satisfied.
But this what drives me for the next. I mean, this is also my fuel for the next things that I know that I'm... Probably if I would shoot the movie, I have a friend, very known, I wouldn't call this name, who loves his movies. And I'm always very, I mean, in a sense, I'm a kind of a jealous because he told me, like, I love each picture of my movie, each scene, each second. And this is not me. Sometimes, you know, I mean, like, I like some of the scenes. I like it reminds me some days, some time, and I'm proud that we did something this way or that way. But I think if this is something what I was kind of I choose this way, and in a way some life also had chosen me to do the movies. I think my way is it's a path, so it's a journey. So I should continue.
Yeah, I have the same feeling.
So it's never finished.
It's
never finished. I'm also like I dislike actually some of our films. This is like, it's a problem because
and
I feel like, oh no, I don't want to watch it. No, next one. And sometimes even when there is like this, like I have a film on post-production and it's not realized and I'm thinking about the next one. I'm thinking, no, this is okay, but maybe this we have to change, and yeah, so maybe it also is a fuel, like Misha said. Maybe it's not a bad thing. Because the directors, like our friend exactly, they are very often doing such a huge breaks because they love so much their own work that they are sitting and waiting for years to make another film they're gonna fully love. So it's a different approach.
Thank you.
I want to come back to the light because I just want to find out, because you use light very courageously, very strong light. So in the name of, the whole scenery is full of, it's like holy light in the images, even yellow or orange light, very tough. Or in inside rooms, the light is coming from the side very, very strongly, even aggressively, and you use the light and dark in such an intense way, in my opinion, that I thought there is some spiritual background even to that. So, can you maybe speak a little bit about your use of light? Maybe it's my personal feeling, but
this is always a question I'm trying, and it's pretty hard, being cinematographer, to avoid to answer. Because
you don't have to do it.
No, I can explain you why. Because I think, of course, with each one, I have my own philosophy around this. Not a big one. I'm not like Vittorio Storaro, who can tell you probably for hours why this is orange and why this is blue or something.
Let's see in 20 years, maybe you're gonna be like Vittorio.
Maybe. No, you never know. I buy a scarf and chapeau, tell you. Illuminata e stora, but I would say I'll do it very instinctively, and the light also is the part of this something which everyone, let's say, interpretate in a different way, and this is a part also as a music. In general, as a, let's say, piece of art, which is working under your consciousness somehow, and it's very physical again, because and it works on you, and it shouldn't be explained. I think that's the mystery of the cinema, that in art, that you leave some margin for unknown and unnamed, unexplained things. And very often we watch with Malgo something, we go to the theater or we listen to some music and we watch some exhibitions and we are moved by something. And you don't know exactly what it is. I mean, immediately you cannot name it, oh, because of this and that. As a quite experienced, let's say, filmmaker, in the sense that you know how it's been created, you still want to feel fresh as an audience, as a viewer. So I would love to leave this territory for the viewers as well. And of course, I mean, you can probably, I think you can feel, for example, Never Gonna Snow Again. You can see that the light, especially the moving light which is changing, because for me the light, it's not a constant thing. And I like the light is in motion, like in general, life is in motion, let's say. So you can see in this movie that with the appearance of our character, something happens also with the light. But in general, I think this is something so personal, something very individual with perception. So I think Tarkovsky said something about something like this. He was asked about his favorite movies or something like this, and he said that when you watch some movie or read some book or for the first time, you are very impressed and something you love. But from the moment when you start to knowing this and study it, you like it less and less and less and less. And he said you shouldn't do it with art. You just need to feel it. You just need to, you know.
But from my perspective, because maybe it's easier for me to answer this question, I have a feeling that he's very much into education also. Like Misha, he watched many films, but also theater, but also painting, like 15th, 16th, 17th, 19th century paintings. And I think there is a lot of influence from the history of culture, history of art, and not each DOP is doing this, I would say. Because some DOPs, they are skilled, especially nowadays in Hollywood, only for function, lighting. Everything has to just be functional. So I think that's the difference also. But this education you have behind and the knowledge about the art.
But you know what? I think the past was transformed so many times in the new art, I would say. In so many different ways. So I think that's the part of our present days, that the culture became very visual. We having Instagram, we watch all of these platforms, blah. We communicate mainly through the pictures, and it's a shortcut. So I think if I would say this is a challenge for filmmakers to catch someone's attention with the pictures, with someone which is disturbing in a good way, and it's something which is intriguing. And with this movie, with Never Gonna Snow Again, we had this kind of appetite just to build the tension, to build the atmosphere, sometimes to create with the pace of this movie kind of a trance that the people can get into this world. I mean, in the different rhythm, that it's not like clack, 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 clack. It's very rapid, like you're used to watching everything which is on the web. Too much. Sorry.
Maybe a too personal question, but you also mentioned it even in your film, Stranger, for example, so dedicated to your parents. And 33 scenes, your parents died, one after each other, very shortly. So that was the inspiration for that film. Would you say that this may be one of the keys of your artistic development was your childhood, your parents, like for all of us, but in your films, it's another point.
I think very much, and I think everything is like in front of me because I never tell the story I would like to tell to the world about my childhood, about kind of my parents, about the days which gone. So I think one day I'm sure we're gonna make that kind of film, but I think it's too soon. I think it's a kind of project you can do when you are like, I don't know, closer to homage to, closer to death almost, I think. I mean, so my feeling is like, yeah, I'm super, this is a paradox in my life because I had a very good relation with my parents. Of course, I'm not saying because sometimes difficult, but more or less super good. Then they both died very fast and kind of super unexpectedly within 4 months when I was 30. And it was like super shocking. But when I look at this now, I'm always thinking that if they wouldn't die, I wouldn't be mother of these 2 children I am now. I know I wouldn't be because my life would be super different. And I would have a probably different child, different, you know, so I wouldn't be a mother of children I really love, my daughter and my son. Plus, I would never be in this moment as a film director I am. Because I was so deep in the relation with my father, especially intellectually. And so I couldn't do anything without his blessing, you know, and he was very critical. So he was always like, oh, you are too emotional, you are too much this, you are too much straightforward, you have to be more analyzed, more this, more that. And I followed him because I knew that he's like wishing me the best. But somehow he was stopping me. So it's a huge paradox because something which was the most important to me, the most precious, my parents, being with them and having the feeling that they are taking care about me. I lost it, and then I was like explode. My creativity explode. I became very free. It's like a paradox because also but also it makes me very strong, I think, because to pass that kind of experience, 2 accidental, very strange death, one by the other, and then many other deaths, because also many people died around me, many, like comparing to the other people, I think it's a big difference, and it made me like much more familiar with the death, I think so, and much more open to the dying. Like the modern society is very distant to
hate death. That is the
I'm not.
The percent,
I saw so much death. I think it's like a part of life, and you cannot be so surprised that someone is dying, even young person, because it's just happening. You know what I mean? So I had this lesson. So maybe again, it gave me a kind of strength, you know? So it's always a contrary, it's always a kind of paradox. I don't know, with me and with my life and what happened to me. So on one hand, I'm very sad that they cannot see my parents, that I made a career, that I made so many films, and with Misha. But on the other hand, I wouldn't do it if they be with me. So it's like that's life.
Did you want to get a film director during your childhood already? Like
oh,
I
no,
did with
never.
I was 12 years old, I wanted to get a director.
No, never. I was completely. I want to be first of all ballet dancer, but I'm too big. Then I wanted to be a modern ballet dancer, then some problems with my knee, then guitar player, then theater director, then opera singer. Opera singer, I was really crazy about this, but my voice wasn't enough good. And then, so all the time, something. I never planned to be a film director. It just happened a little bit accidentally. I just went to the exam, film school. I prepared myself. I said, I try. And then they took me to school. So that's how it happened, and yeah, I never planned it.
Maybe the last point, because we have not the time, we could speak for hours, is a political implication. Your films are very even metaphysic, and they handle about the body and the individuals in communities trying to get freedom for themselves, imprisoned in their bodies, and so on and so on. But there is you of course observe very, very constantly the Polish society in the modern development of your society, before faithfully to the church and now faithfully to the money. And in every film you include the anti-Semitism on TV in Body, for example. In the new film it is, of course, the destruction of the environment. They cut the trees, and the chemical thing with the pills, that nature is getting destroyed and transformed to chemical stuff. And so in every film you have another contemporary political issue, but you handle it from the side. It's not the main topic. It's just accompanying the story. So is it unconsciously, or do you think, okay, we have to include this because we are so much angry about this point?
No, I mean, it's always on purpose, yes, of course. And again, I think it's a part of us as members of the current world and seeing the tendencies around, and we want to somehow, if we tell the stories about the presence, I mean, you cannot, being blind to not seeing this. So of course we never want to put it in a very publicist way, because we always want to look at the things in a contrary way, with the sense of humor, of course, our sense of humor. And we have this experience, for example, it's not funny for the Polish people. No, I mean, but seriously, we quite often realize that the movies and the portrait of the societies are more understood abroad and not in our own country. And it's pretty interesting, because I think it's probably the part of the Polish mentality that we want to see ourselves in a very specific way. And so whenever we see something which is maybe not the thing we want to see it, the people call it out, it's not us, But yeah, I mean, everything is on purpose. Again, like like Malgo said before, I mean, we're trying to play with the things quite subtle and gentle way. We always pay attention to the characters. We have some kind of understanding and compassion. So whatever happens, it has kind of our sensitivity and the sense of humor as well. And yeah, but I mean, like, most of these things are coming from our own experience, our lives. Yeah. For example, the trees. This is the trees. That's almost the scene from my apartment. That I experienced by myself. I was the only person who was fighting for the trees. And so, but this is happening on a much bigger scale, as we know. So, Malgo?
No, I want to say that probably, yeah, we always speak about Poland with kind of outside perspective. I don't know, maybe because we are making international films, and they are very often like Berlinale and etc., and people understand those films also abroad. So the problem is, like, I can tell you, I cannot imagine that someone in Poland is doing homage of my films. That's the best example. I don't have to say. People feels very often offended by those films. They have this feeling that we are trying to sell ourselves to the West, making jokes on Polish society. And of course, it's absolutely not true. But that's how it's often treated by the in Poland, our films. And sometimes it's very surprising because we are doing on purpose that we are talking politically about Polish mentality. Of course, I'm critical to Polish mentality. This is my roots. I'm from there. I love this and I hate this. It's both. That's the mixture. I think it's very natural, you know, to struggle with your own country, struggle with your own nationality, struggle with our mentality. Polish mentality is very specific. But I mean, we are not enough open in Poland yet to be open to that kind of perspective, you know, that someone can love and hate their own country. You can only love the country. I think that's the problem. I think Germans understand this so well. Absolutely. Yeah, but Polish people know. You are obliged to love the country. And it's so funny that yesterday I had a dinner with a man from Munich television. They gave us, they support Never Gonna Snow Again. And he told me such a funny story. He said that he was so surprised because he met a guy from Munich who is Polish. And Carlos said, we are supporting Polish filmmaker, Małgorzata Szumowska. No, don't give her money. She doesn't like Poland. So we've been like, you know, an educated person. So, I mean, we've been like laughing yesterday that it's crazy because, of course, that I like Poland. I'm very Polish, and very often I'm kind of proud that I'm Polish because we have this special, we are kind of brave, you know. We have this, we are different. We have charisma, I think, as a nation. But, you know, it's always like this. It's like a misunderstanding, I would say, more that, yeah, but this is funny. But, you know, it's also give us a fuel and give us a dynamic to do another film and another film. You know, because it's a little bit, it's like we want to be ironical, we want to play with this. It's normal, yeah.
So I have to say that I'm very, very happy that we as Munich Film Festival could support your film because your film has been also made with our money coming from the co-production prize. Just to say, the co-production award was from 2019, was newly invented, 100,000 euro for the best co-production, and a co-production of, it's a film of Karim Aynuz, produced by Match Factory, and he got the money to support a new film, and that was the film. So we are sort of co-producer even of this film, so we are more than proud, but that's not the reason why you are sitting here. It's only accompanying the point that I'm really completely delighted about your work, and I hope that I could express that enough. And thank you for...
Yes, of course, thank you. It's also, for us, it's important, those meetings, really, because then you have a power. I'm leaving, and I think there are people who want to see our work, there are people who believe in us. It's important. So thank you also.
Thank you very much, Michał, and
thank you.
Małgorzata.
Thank you.
Thank you.